Opening day of NFL football is tomorrow. We have all of the week one previews from around the FSA, and we have a new day and time for the Fanatically Real Broadcast starting next week. All of this and more in 20 seconds. Hey fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real Broadcast, sponsored by Sport Management Solutions, your one-stop shop for all your athletic communication needs. Hopefully, Hanley's out there. I don't know what Hanley's laughing at. Let me see what he's laughing at here. Hanley's always laughing at something. Let me see if I can pull him up. There he is. Let's see if he pops up on the screen. There he is. Hanley, what are you laughing at now? Who knows? Quick little note before we get started into the meat of the show tonight. Stick around towards the near end of the show. We have some big news for you all. Paul says, I'm still keen on Pittsburgh and New York Jets for the broader storyline. What broader storyline are we talking about? I must have missed something. Y'all got to fill me in on what I'm missing. And Damien out there with us saying, let's go. Erica with us saying, hey. Oh, the Packers-Lions game of the week. Okay. And Jason said, what is the Christmas outfit? I knew I was probably going to get some comments about the outfit tonight because it definitely is a mismatched outfit. But I figure with all of our week one previews getting ready to come up for the WRL and the APFL, I would wear my WRL jersey and as close as I could get to an APFL hat on my head. So, I don't know. You guys got me lost. Like there must be some messages in here that I was missing somewhere, or maybe Hanley was missing or laughing at whatever Jason had said earlier whenever he logged in. But anyway, tomorrow is opening night for the NFL. We are less than 24 hours away at this point. This will be the last time we will be without football until February of 2026. And then opening night tomorrow, Thursday night, is between the Cowboys and the Eagles. But we'll talk a little bit more about that here shortly. So when is that game being played then? So you're talking about the team swapping quarterbacks. Now I get it, between Pittsburgh and the Jets. When is that happening? And by the way, Jason, thank you for the help. Look at that. The messages are popping up on the screen. So, hey, so the first thing, here is our agenda over here for the night. We're going to talk about the APFL Week 1. Then we're going to break down each one of the regions for their Week 1 previews. We get a little bit of an APBL baseball update for you since we were unable to get a broadcast in on Friday, and we're not going to get a broadcast in again on this Friday. We're going to reiterate the FSA Sunday ticket. Let me back out right there, and then we're going to talk about our next broadcast like we said at the top of the show. Pretty big deal that we need to talk about as we move forward through the rest of the year. Refresh is definitely a newfound friend of ours, that's for sure. All right, so let's talk about these APFL Week 1 previews. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a graphic of who's playing against each other in APFL Week 1. We are starting the season inside our own divisions, and what I did was I went through our own new website and I broke down the lifetime record of these teams against each other in the regular season, and I'm going to run through them and give you what those records are. Now, you're going to see them graphically left to right, but I might announce them right to left that you see. The reason I'm doing that is the graphic that's on the right has a better win-loss record, and it just makes it easier for me as I'm going through this. So let's start in the AFC. So we got Buffalo versus New England. Buffalo lifetime record against them is 4-2. We got the New York Wings against the Miami Barracudas. New York Wings lifetime against the Barracudas, 4-2. Cincinnati against Baltimore. Cincinnati holds that at 4-2. Pittsburgh and Cleveland tied at 3-3. Same thing for Jacksonville and Tennessee Spartans, 3-3 lifetime. Huge margin right here between Houston and Indianapolis. Houston has this lifetime series right now at 5-1. The Marauders versus the Warhorse, Vegas has the honors there at 4-2. And then surprisingly enough, even as much hype as Denver gets, and after being last year's champion, they are lifetime head-to-head against Kansas City, 3-3. Let's go over to the NFC side and see what it looks like over there. Washington over the Mammoths. Washington holds that lead at 4-2. Philadelphia and Dallas, they open our Thursday night in the NFL. They open our season over on the NFC. Philadelphia holds that lifetime record over Dallas at 5-1. Green Bay and Minnesota tied at 3-3. Chicago over last year's NFC champion. They hold that at 4-2. Tampa Bay over Carolina at 4-2. Another big wide margin. New Orleans Angels up over the Atlanta Dirty Birds 5-1. San Francisco over the Bighorns at 4-2. And then Seattle, which was our first year's champion, holds that lifetime record over the Arizona Redbirds at 5-1. Let me go over here and check to see what I'm missing on the messages. Jason says, I just noticed this is season 1. Remembered when you started on Periscope? Yep. In fact, I think Periscope actually came after our first episode even. So for those of you who don't know, our first ever episode 11 years ago, I think was the draft order show for whatever season that was when I was in Hawaii. And we did that inside a place called the Tropics on Oahu on Schofield Barracks. I had Keith Clark being my cameraman back then, and we did that one with the old bingo machine with the balls and the magnets and everything like that. I think that was our first ever show, and I think that was season 1, episode 1, and it was the only episode that we did that year as well. Damien saying 5-1 is pretty impressive. Over on the NFC side is Philadelphia over Dallas, and the Saints over... the Angels over the Dirty Birds, and then the Raptors over the Redbirds, all of them at 5-1. Let's see. How did Cincinnati's mascot look scared? They are the Cringers. The Cringers from He-Man, before he turned into Battle Cat. That was where the whole inspiration came from that. So that's where it is. Damien isn't me though. I don't know what you're talking about. Hanley, I don't know what you're talking about. Can Chicago and Detroit tie? Neither deserve a win. I mean, I thought I had remember telling you guys earlier this year that they were 3-3 until I went back through the all-time head-to-head records earlier today to get those, which is a cool feature. I don't remember if I said that at the beginning of whenever I did this for you all. The all-time records over on the new website. Very cool thing to be able to just go through if you want to dig through it. So all of the APBL seasons are there. The APFL seasons are there. And then I am up to and through the 2014 season on the WRL side. So pretty cool. Get a chance to go over there, play around with it a little bit. All right, so that got us through the APFL Week 1. Let's break down each one of these WRL regions. The 5-1, I don't know what you're talking about, Hanley. Again, it's Philadelphia and Dallas. Yeah, it wasn't you at 5-1. It was the Philadelphia franchise at 5-1, not you. So there are two different ways to look at the all-time records. You can look at it by franchise, which doesn't care who was the general manager of that time, or you can look at it by each one of the teams. So in Philadelphia's case, you can look at it through when it was the Harpies, and then I think it was the Harpies before you took over. That was the Harpies, and then it was the Steagles, and then it was the Griffins. So it doesn't matter. It's franchise related regardless of who the coach is. Because the same thing in the NFL, nobody cares about who the coach was. It's by franchise overall. But if you want to see who the coach is, you can go in there, and I have that feature added on there as well. So we're going to go through each one of these regions. We are going to start with the Loch Ness. Now, when we go through each one of these for the breakdown for the week and what the preview looks like and what is projected for scores by MFL, the only time that I have the head-to-head matchup on here is if both teams have set their lineup. And this is as of 2:30, 2:45 p.m. East Coast time today. So if you set your lineup after that, that's why you're not part of the preview for this week. But let's move on to the Loch Ness first. Got to show off that cool graphic there. All right, so Loch Ness, for the ones who actually have got their lineups in so far, we got the E-Thugs, who had the number one pick in this region over the Mantis Mayhem. What's funny on MFL is they have the E-Thugs winning 175 and some change to 174 and some change, but they only have the E-Thugs winning by 49%, which is really, really weird. We got the New York Jackets versus Brady Sits Down to number one. Reason I mentioned the New York Jackets first is because they are projected to win 166 to 154. The Ohio River Monsters over the Northern Nightmares. Projected score there 168 to 163. And then the Terrifiers over the Mad Scientist. Projected score there 164 to 162. Hanley, it doesn't matter that it was a different team. It doesn't matter that you don't have the same roster. All I'm telling is historical data from the time that the teams played ahead of time. I didn't talk anything about who was supposed to win these games. Loch Ness is going to be a tough conference. The Ohio River Monsters have the best roster. Well, you're only saying that because you're the general manager of them. Let's see. Damien says debatable. It would be interesting to see comparison of coaches on a franchise, like how each coach. Jason, I'm glad you said that. That is actually out there as well. So if you look at it on the APFL side, it's based on each one of the teams as well. Not only is there a franchise one where Philadelphia versus whoever, there's also a breakdown of each one of the general managers. For the WRL side, like in your case, because you changed in our database 2 teams across your lifetime, you were the Aliens first, then you became the Dayton Cavalry, and then for me, I was the Nightbreed and became the Monarchs. There is actually a way for us to see head-to-head as general managers as well. So you can see that too. So that is out there if you want to go out and play around with it. Let me get that off the screen now. Let's move on to the Red Dragons region. For the Red Dragons region, the first group of teams, I think we got 5 out of the 6 in this one. Turd Ferguson up over the Bearcats, 164 to 163. Skip over the Epidemic Elephants game there and move on to the Crown Crusaders. 2 of our rookies playing against each other in their first head-to-head matchup in the FSA. The Crusaders getting the nod there, 159 to 153. Wildcats up over Chaos, 164, 163. Some really close games through all of these. Unicorn Legends up over the Rochester Rabbits, 171 to 165. And then the Southern Sirens up over the Power Claws, 170 to 164. There's a very good possibility that might happen since he didn't spend enough money on him. Very good possibility. Or maybe that he overspent on whoever it was that tight end that he went after and spent $16 or $19 too much on. Let's move on to the Cerberus region. That's what it was, Matt. It was Waller. Thank you. Appreciate it. Out of the Cerberus region, only a pair of games, 4 teams, comparatively against all of the other teams that were there, set the rosters. Garbage Points up over the Music City Miracles. Why am I looking at the wrong thing here? Am I in Cerberus? I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. Boss Hogs up over the Monarchs, 167 to 160. Damien and everybody over there got me all distracted with Waller and all of that talk. And then Lucky Ass Ferg up over the Coolidge Scorpions. Lucky Ass Ferg getting the nod there, 163 to 157. So those four teams all got their lineups in. Everybody else in the other games, the other four games, somebody was missing from their starting lineup. So this is to put you on notice as of 2:45 p.m. East Coast time today. If you did not set your lineup today, that's why you're not seeing a preview here for your team. You're not taking credit for anything. The franchise is taking credit for it, which is what I said at the beginning of this. Yeah, Jason just set his about 30 minutes ago. I was on live whenever he sent it. We set him up with the WRL, which I didn't realize he was not a part of. We got his franchise connected on the WRL so he could do that. I will tell you that the graphics were created. So the WRLs have been around for a little bit. The AFC and NFC for the APFL I just created today. And it went very smooth that it happened that way. This graphic thing is starting to become better, and I can't wait to make more and more improvements on it as we go through. So I think we still got one more region here. We got the Krakens. So again, not all teams have set their lineups by 2:30 or 2:45 p.m. East Coast time today. So here's what we're looking at on the Kraken side. We got garbage points over the Music City Miracles, 168 to 165. The Aviators over the Lunatics, 170 to 167. And then the Warbirds over the Roaring Lions, 170 to 162. Yeah, they absolutely are. I think that's what it is. Wait until the last minute, but I promise you I will be waking up tomorrow, Ferg, and I will be beating everybody up about making sure they set their lineups. And it's not just in this league. I'll probably give a friendly reminder to all 6 of the leagues that I play in this year, because I feel like everybody needs a little bit of a nod of, hey, don't forget we got football this week. All right, so I want to touch on something before we get to that APBL Week 22. 2 more things football that I want to talk about. One of them that we mentioned at the top of the show that says very important. Make sure you stick around for this. So let's talk about the NFL Week 1 primetime games first. We've got a Thursday night game, a Friday night game, Sunday night football, Monday night football, and also no first week of the season we have no buys. You know I love to keep everybody up to date on that. So Thursday night football, we've already mentioned it a couple times. Dallas at Philadelphia. As of about the same time today, 2:30, 2:45, Philadelphia was the favorite by 8.5 points. Oh, don't worry, it's on there. Damien says, don't forget about FSA Sunday Ticket, y'all. I will make sure I remind you that's why it's on the menu tonight. Philadelphia favored by 8.5. I'm taking Philly in that game. Friday night football, we have Kansas City at the LA Chargers. I think that game is at a neutral site somewhere, but they're actually giving it to the Chargers for home field. Kansas City favored by 3.5. I'm taking Kansas City in that game. Baltimore at Buffalo. Really close matchup. Buffalo favored by 1.5. I don't believe it yet. I still believe in Baltimore. I still believe in Lamar Jackson. It's probably because I have tons of shares of him this year across all 6 of my fantasy teams. But I'm going Baltimore in that game. And then Monday Night Football, Minnesota at Chicago. Minnesota favored by 1.5. And call me crazy, but I am going with Chicago in that game. Chicago up over Minnesota for the upset. And I thought so. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. I thought that they were at a neutral site or an away site. So Matt tells me that they are playing that Friday night game, Kansas City at the LA Chargers in Brazil. That's our first time in Brazil, right? I know played in Mexico City. We've played in the UK quite a few times. Brazil is a new one, right? I think. All right, so here comes the big announcement that I said, make sure you stick around towards the near end of the show. The defunct Dynasty leagues are making a comeback in 2026. So people have been beating the drum all year I've been paying a lot of attention to getting the new website up and running, that we did not get a new league going this year. We didn't get the Next 32, the FSAU, or any other ones going, which are still on my radar to do. But the defunct dynasties, people have been asking for them. We almost put one together like last second. So Philly and Green Bay was in Brazil last year. Okay, so this isn't our first year. And there's no doubleheader this Monday, no, but maybe next week. I feel like it's always in week 2, which I always thought was odd, or it's in week 1 and in week 2, and maybe the Friday night game is replacing that, because did we open with a Friday night last year? I don't remember. Damien said, woo, woo, Alpha Bravo Charlie. So here's how we're going to handle, for those of you who know what the defunct dynasty leagues are. They are small groups of dynasty leagues with 12 teams each. We had them going in 2020. We tried to expand to Echo and Foxtrot using the military phonetic alphabet all the way through. So at that point, we had 6 leagues going. 2021 was the year that we closed our doors. The Echo and Foxtrot League never got off the ground. What we're going to end up doing is start back over. We won't call it Alpha 2.0. We're just going to start back over again, Alpha through whatever. So here's what we're going to do. The NFL opens their season for operations in 2026 on March 11th. That's a Wednesday. That is our best guess from everything we can find on the NFL calendar. So March 11th, we will open up defunct dynasty leagues on that day. It will be a first come, first serve. The first 12 people that get to us go into Alpha. The next 12 go into Bravo. And if we're fortunate enough to get another 12, they will go into Charlie. If we don't get enough to fill a particular defunct dynasty, we will just chop it off, truncate, sorry, try again next year when we get a little bit more eyes on this. I think at a minimum, we should have 0 problems probably filling Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, if I'm being honest, though. So after we get those filled, we will go to, like we did back in the day when we had those leagues, we will go to a slow draft after the NFL rookie draft for each one of those leagues. Again, that will open on March 11th, 2026. We'll probably make a little bit of a stink on it on Discord tomorrow about it. We will open it up. We will fill them up 12 teams at a time. Remember, the defunct dynasty teams are themed after defunct professional football teams that no longer exist. We don't care where they came from. Could be Arena, WR, or the Arena World Football League, XFL, the AFL. I'm trying to think of where some of the other ones that came from. Old NFL teams that don't exist anymore. Majority of the guys that have been responding tonight have their teams already. I'm hoping that they bring those back to life, and we'll see a lot of those same teams come back around. So that was the big announcement that I wanted to make sure that we put out there. So let's get done with football for a second. Let's talk about the APBL Week 22. So let's shift gears to baseball for a little bit. Reason we're doing that is we could not have a show last Friday because we had a draft going on, and then tomorrow, Friday, I have obligations that I cannot be in front of the camera for. So Week 22 is the last week of the regular season. Game of the week for this week is the Reds versus the Braves. So this is on the NL side of the house. Winner is in, loser is out. As of earlier today, the Reds were up over the Braves, but anything can happen with this only being Wednesday night. We've got to play all the way to Sunday. I figured Erie Explosion was probably going to make a comeback. I was kind of hoping they were. I'm trying to think of the other one. So Hanley had the Detroit Wheels when we were in the F3L. Matt, you had the Columbus Panhandles, if I remember correctly. And I don't know if I saw anybody else's names out there tonight that played in any of those leagues. Let me see if I can go scroll through this real quick and see if anybody else is out there that played in any of the defunct or used a defunct style team in any of our playing. I think that was it. So there's at least 3 of them. And then I'll be bringing back I don't know if I want to do the Rage or if I want to do New Jersey. It will also all depend on if me and Kevin get in to a Defunct Dynasty together, because Kevin and I still have a silent little bet of whoever ends up with the best win-loss record at the end of the year has to move, or whoever is the loser of the win-loss record has to move their team. And I think him and I are still tied head-to-head. Yeah, the Panhandles. That's what I thought. Is that what I said was the Columbus Panhandles? I don't know if that's what I said or not. So APBL, Cincinnati Reds, Atlanta Braves, winner in, loser out. And then we still have the two teams at the top of the AL side, Hanley being one of them. He is the general manager of the Detroit Tigers over there. And then we got Metric Dunnings, who is the general manager of the Yankees over on the ALC side. They are still fighting for the number one seed for the first round bye in the AL. They play separate games this week. They're not playing head-to-head. The last time I checked, again, 2:30, 2:45, Yankees were winning their contest and projected to win, and then the Tigers were projected to lose by 1. But Hanley, you have to give me the latest and greatest update to let me know where you're at for your game right now. All right, so Damian brought it up. We're going to talk about it, the FSA Sunday Ticket. Don't forget, this is your season-long contest in the FSA to play for a free membership into the WRL next year. Excuse me. You have to register for the website. I don't think you need to be connected to your team. That was a question that Damian and I had. I have it on my notes, but I think I'm starting to find out you don't have to. Crazy that you had to touch all. That's Gerard. I had to, man. There was nothing last week, and then there's not going to be anything this week. If I don't, there's not going to be any show. And it's been a while since we've done a APBL thing, and it wasn't just about you and me. It was definitely about the Yankees and the Tigers. They're still fighting for the number one seed over there. First round bye is very important in this league. Yes, it is free. All you're playing for is a free membership for next year. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the new FSA website. Let me know if you need the link. I want to throw a willy-dilly out there, but I also want to make sure people are interested and they really want to do it. So if you're interested, make sure you hit me up and I'll get you with the link. Once you're connected and you log in, you're going to see 2 additional menu items. You're going to see a My Dashboard and an FSA Plus. The My Dashboard might not work for you if you do not have a team on air in FSA or have not connected you to that team. If you do have a team on FSA and you need to be connected, hit me up and I'll make sure you are hit. But what you want to do is then click on FSA Plus, and what you're looking at is basically a normal NFL pick'em thing, except for you're doing confidence picks with it as well. So we're only going to do this on Sunday because it was a database nightmare if we wanted to do Thursday, Sunday, Monday games, Friday included in this week. So only Sunday games in this all year. So we have 13 games this Sunday. So what you're going to do, not only are you going to pick who you think is going to win, you're going to assign a number of confidence points that goes along with that. Since we have 13 games, the most points you can assign to any one game is 13. And then every game after that will be 1 point lower, 12, 11, 10, all the way down to 1. So whatever game you think you're most confident in who's going to get the win, you put 13 points on that. And then next confidence, 12, all the way down to the one you're least confident about, but you're still going to pick the winner for, you put 1 point on it. At the end of the week, I go in and I tell the database who actually won that game, and then it calculates the points. So you have until Sunday, 1 p.m., to be able to get your FSA Sunday Ticket picks in along with your confidence picks. And then, like I said, it'll be a running total all year, and whoever wins that, free entry into WRL next year. Let's see. I'm up 106, projected to win by 4 now. All right, cool. So that's a nice, very good update. Said whatever. Hey, don't be mad because you might lose. And if I lose, no hard feelings. You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. Damien says, what if we had an FSA Sunday Ticket channel on Discord for those who are playing? I will have to go. God, I'm trying to think if there is a way for me to check to see who's playing in that. I think I can actually probably go to the database and look to see what usernames are in there, but I don't know what it's actually going to show in that table to tell me who's actually made picks. But it's not a bad idea. I can play around with that tomorrow as well. So let me see if I can, in fact, do that. Let me make a note of that right now so I don't forget. Good idea. FSA Sunday ticket channel Discord. Now, here's one of the things I do know that we will have to do with this FSA Sunday ticket. I do not believe that the standings that are going to show as they are built right now is probably how we want to see them. What we're probably just going to see is a week-by-week standings and a overall standings. I think I know, being a stats nerd, I would want to see how many points, especially somebody who's ahead of me in points, right? Well, what points did they put on? What game did they put, more confidence points on than me? I would want to see that. Right now, it does not do that. So we're going to probably have to get through a couple of weeks. My focus is going to be on the league itself as far as the three-step process that I've got in mind right now. So my first step is, after we get through week 1, what kind of graphics and post-week stuff can I get built into our database? The week after that will be, what can I do for preview stuff for that upcoming week through our database and graphics? And then in week 3, what can I get during the week for our graphics and in-scoring stuff? And those 3 things might not just take a week at a time. It could take 3 weeks to get through step 1, 3 weeks to get through step 2. This is our beta testing year. Help me out. If I say, hey, go out and check this out, please do that for me so we know we're in the right, we're in the right path, right step of where we want to go with this. If something looks ugly to you and you think it needs to be changed, please hit me up with that as well. You know how much I love the aesthetics of all of this. I want it to be functional, but I also want it to look good. I want it to be user-friendly for our people who are playing an FSA. Points to try to catch up and play it more safe with their points. Yeah, and that's why I really want to put, and I should have left that up for a little bit longer so everybody could read it, Damien. I really want to put it out there. It would be no different than what we're getting ready to do with the FSAU, and probably not so much showing the points, which we will do in the FSA Sunday ticket, but for the ranking system, so you know where you've got to try to make up some lost ground. So I thought, after I built it, all based off of your idea, I want everybody to know this was Damien's idea, after I built it and I saw the standings, that we needed more. That wasn't enough, especially for people who love stat stuff. So you want to participate in the FSA Sunday ticket? Like Damien said, it's free. If you still haven't been on the new website, hit us up with the URL. Get yourself registered. Get yourself logged in. Go over to FSA Plus, and you get yourself going. Again, you got a couple more days because we're not doing this on any other day except for Sunday. So they're like, again, there's 13 games in week 1. There's going to be weeks where there are a lot less games on Sunday. So just make sure you get in and get in often. Stay up on top of it. You miss 1 week, and you could be out of contention for it even after just 1 week. All right, let's see. Next broadcast. So this is kind of important. I did mention at the top of the show that we are going to change day and time. Here's why. So some of you know that I do play-by-play scoring for USC Aiken. I usually do that for baseball in the spring. I have decided to pick up more shifts this year for soccer. So I'm doing this for men's and women's soccer as well. Absolutely. It also gives everybody a reason to play around with a new website, which I had so much luck with the website over the last 2 days. I'm like giddy about how much stuff that we got done between the rosters on the WRL and to be able to get you to be able to submit your lineup if you're a WRL team. By the way, that is functioning now. Beta test. It's probably not the prettiest right now, but it's functional. That's what we care about. We can make it pretty later. So if you are a WRL member and you have registered, you can now go onto the FSA website and you can set your lineups over there. And I've tested it. Jason's tested it. Hanley's tested it. It absolutely works. So you can go over there, test it, go over to MFL, make sure it made the changes that you wanted it to, and then build confidence in knowing that this page is going to do what you want it to do. So I'm doing USC Aiken. I'm doing scoring for men's and women's soccer this year in the fall. So that is going to, there's a lot of Wednesday games. So what I decided to do, instead of bouncing around back and forth of when we were going to do the show on Wednesdays when we don't have games and Thursdays when we do have games, we're so light on Thursday, which I think is only like 3 games, and it might be volleyball, and I might not even be involved in that. We are going to move the broadcast for this season to Thursdays. So we will get this on air before kickoff on Thursday nights. So starting next week, Thursday, September 11th, creepy day to do it on, we will be doing the Fanatically Real broadcast on Thursdays, and we're going to bump it up an hour to 7:30. Reason I want to do that is tonight's show, we're already at 35 minutes. I want to make sure that if the show ends up being an hour long, that we get it in before kickoff of Thursday Night Football. So next week's show, the Week 1 wrap-up and the Week 2 preview, will be on September 11th, Thursday at 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. Make sure you are there. I hope that it will be. I appreciate the confidence. At the very least, it will be more user-friendly, I hope. It might not have all the bells and whistles, but it's going to have the bells and whistles that you all like to use is what I'm hoping for. And after we get the website done, then the app is coming next. I know that Gerard told me the other day that there was a maybe new app that was out there that you could download, which has the same interaction that you have with the MFL Premium. I'll have to, or MFL Platinum, I think it's called. You'll have to, Gerard, let me know what that is again, or send a link out to everybody on Discord so everybody knows that they can go grab that one in case they don't like the Platinum one that's going on. Let's see. Furby says a Thursday night broadcast will be fun. The FSA broadcast to start out the football week. So I thought Thursday was a good time to do it. It's better than doing it on Tuesday. That's a rush for me. So we'll see how Thursday works out. Like, again, we've got a lot of games on Wednesday this year with USC Aiken. Thursday works out better. We'll see how that works out for me. That's an hour sooner than what I normally do the show, but I got everything done fairly good today. But I also started on it really early. I think from 8:30 to 2:30 minus, or let's say 8:30 to 3 minus an hour in there for lunch. So I can't do math right now. 8 to 15:30, 7, 6.5 hour, 5.5 hours to prepare for this broadcast tonight. So might be able to do it. So Damien says MFL is garbage. It's really good for people who understand database programming, because that's the kind of nerds that build it. But it's really not user-friendly. I've never been on, what is the other one you guys use? Sleeper? I've never been on Sleeper, but it seems like Sleeper is really user-friendly for everybody. It just doesn't have all the bells and whistles. We like bells and whistles, and we like easy for our users. So we're going to try to combine those two with the website. So, yeah, hit me up, or hit everybody up. Take a screenshot of it, or tell everybody what it's called. And that way people who might want to try something, I want to try it because I want to steal the ideas from both MFL Platinum and whatever this one is that you're about to tell us about, and make sure that it's part of our app. The app. And I mean, you got to understand this. So the app for the MFL is a third-party app. So MFL does not have an app itself, does not support it. So anything you see from those apps, even the new one Gerard's going to tell us about, are not supported by MFL. So the one that I built won't be supported by MFL either. I'm just hoping that whatever I provide you all for a product is worthy of you wanting to use. That's all I'm hoping for. You still think MFL is better than Sleeper, so that's good. I think there's a lot of people who are just drum pounders, thumpers for Sleeper, and they love it. I love the aesthetics of everything that you can do with MFL, so that's what sold me on it. And, like, again, I've never played around with Sleeper, so I don't know. So, hey, let's get out of here since we are at 40 minutes for the night, but we can't get out of here without thanking our sponsor. So thank you to the Fanatically Real Broadcast, thank you for Sport Management Solutions for sponsoring the Fanatically Real Broadcast. They are our title sponsor. And then, of course, as always, Thank you to the Recast, who are official music of FSA. Hanley's going to tell me again, and he's right, that we got to figure out some better outro. At least we have our thank to our sponsors back again. But remember, we won't be back until Thursday of next week. Good luck to everybody in the FSA in their week 1 games and in all of the other leagues that you play in. Remember, we are Fanatically Real. Everybody have a good night. Hit me up on Discord if you need me.